Professor Zyxthera's four crystalline eyes flickered with nervous energy as she reviewed her lecture notes for advanced quantum mechanics. The Kepler 442b University's most prestigious physics department had been grappling with the same theoretical paradox for over a millennium, the infinite energy cascade problem. It was a beautiful mathematical puzzle that had stumped the galaxy's brightest minds, serving as both a teaching tool and a humbling reminder of the universe's mysteries. The amphitheater filled with students from across the Galactic Confederation. Tall, elegant Altarians with their gossamer wings whispered in harmonics. The silicon-based lithoids clinked softly as they settled their rocky forms into specialized seating. Aquatic cetaceans floated in their mobile water chambers, their sonar clicks creating a gentle symphony. And then there was Marcus Chen, the human exchange student. Professor Zyxthera's primary eye twitched involuntarily as she spotted him in the third row. Humans were classified as Deathworlders, beings who had evolved on planets so hostile that their very existence defied galactic probability models. Earth, with its crushing gravity, deadly radiation, toxic atmosphere, and catastrophic weather patterns, had somehow produced a species that thrived in conditions that would liquefy most civilized beings. The other professors had warned her. Deathworlders didn't think like normal sentients. They approached problems with a peculiar blend of intuitive leaps and brute force logic that often bypassed elegant theoretical frameworks entirely. Worse, they seemed to excel at finding solutions that worked despite violating accepted academic principles. Today, class, we examine the infinite energy cascade problem, Professor Zyxthera began, her voice resonating through the translation matrices. For 1047 standard years, this paradox has represented the fundamental limitation of our understanding of quantum field dynamics. She projected the holographic equations into the center of the amphitheater. Thousands of variables danced in complex mathematical relationships, representing energy states that seemed to violate conservation laws while maintaining mathematical consistency. The problem was both elegant and impossible, energy that cascaded infinitely through quantum dimensions without origin or terminus. The students observed with respectful silence. This was sacred academic territory, a problem that had humbled Nobel laureates and driven theoretical physicists to career changes in agricultural management. Marcus raised his hand. Professor Zyxthera's tertiary eye focused on him with barely concealed dread. Yes, Mr. Chen. I think there's an error in the foundational assumption, Marcus said, his translator rendering his words in standard Galactic with a slight mechanical accent. A collective intake of breath echoed through the amphitheater. Several Altarians molted stress feathers. The lithoid's crystalline structures actually dimmed with shock. An error. Professor Zyxthera's voice climbed several octaves. Mr. Chen, this problem has been verified by the Combined Mathematics Council, peer-reviewed across 47 academic institutions, and forms the basis of 17 different doctoral programs. Marcus shrugged, a gesture that the translation matrix couldn't quite convey to species without flexible shoulder joints. Right, but you're treating quantum space like it's flat. What if it's not? He stood up, ignoring the horrified stares of his classmates, and walked toward the holographic display. His movements were predatory in the way that only Deathworlders moved, controlled violence barely contained within a civilized framework. See, where I come from, we've got this thing called Einstein-Rosen bridges, wormholes. And we learned that space-time isn't flat, it's curved, folded, sometimes twisted into pretzels. Marcus gestured at the equations with casual disregard for their sanctity. Your infinite cascade isn't infinite. It's just looping back on itself through folded quantum dimensions. Professor Zyxthera felt her secondary heart skip several beats. That's completely speculative. There's no evidence for quantum dimensional folding. Actually, there is. Marcus pulled out a primitive computing device. Humans still used electronic rather than quantum processors, another sign of their barbaric origins. His fingers moved across its surface with disturbing speed. I ran the calculations last night after reading your research papers. If you introduce a curvature constant based on localized gravitational fields and account for quantum tunneling effects. He manipulated the holographic display, his hands moving through the equations like a conductor directing a symphony. Variables shifted, relationships reformed, and suddenly, impossibly, the infinite cascade resolved into a closed loop. The solution was elegant, beautiful, correct, and completely devastating to a millennium of academic tradition. Professor Zyxthera stared at the transformed equations, her primary brain processing while her secondary brain initiated panic protocols. Around the amphitheater, students sat in stunned silence. One of the cetaceans actually beached itself in its excitement, requiring immediate assistance from its mobility unit. "How?" she whispered. Marcus looked genuinely confused by the question. "It's just physics. We've been dealing with weird gravitational stuff on Earth for centuries. Black holes, neutron stars, that kind of thing. Once you accept that space wants to fold in on itself, the math gets pretty straightforward." Pretty straightforward. A 1,000-year-old galactic problem was pretty straightforward to a species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago.